Hello everyone, and welcome to this not so live episode of How to Be a Better Speaker. Now, last week, as I was doing the live, I alluded to the fact that this week I'm in an aeroplane, so unable to do it live. Okay, so what are we talking about this week? I mentioned about the need for practice. Well, I'm going to take it a little bit closer in on that one. I'm looking at how you practice in terms of being succinct. To the point, almost in a little box. The reason I'm mentioning this is because there have been a couple of occasions recently where I've been working with people and they've kind of over-egged the cake. If you can explain your information very quickly, very succinctly, and to the point, you cut out the fluff, you keep everybody's attention, and they want to know more. You're drawing them in. You're inviting them to stay with you. Remember, we live in an era of too long didn't read. We have, as I call it, the attention span of a flea on acid. People want to know things quickly, or they scroll. You know, the immediate gratification, or it's not worth waiting for. So this is why I'm saying to people, have a very clear idea of what you're going to say. Keep to one point. Expand it, give a summary, move on. In a podcast scenario, if you're asked a question, answer it with one point that your audience can remember. Because the point is, if you go over and over and give lots of different examples and expand on all of this, which shows off your knowledge, great. But at the end of the day, if your audience is not going to remember it because they've been drinking from the fire hose, what was the point? It's better to give one response that you've expanded on and wait for the invitation for more. That's always a great way because it gives the host the opportunity to engage you a bit more. But it also gives the opportunity for the host to say, get a word in edgeways. This is really important if you are going onto podcasts, because whilst they're showcasing you, it's not all about you as the guest. So I'm going to set you a task. Can you introduce a point, elaborate on it, summarize it, and give a call to action in 3 minutes? Ooh, there's a challenge for you. What I suggest to speakers is that they have these little 3-minute building blocks ready to go. Because do you remember I said at the end of last week, if there's an event manager that's been stood up, for instance, or you're in a situation where somebody knows that you are a speaker and there's a bit of radio silence, there's an event or something that they want to fill some space. Is there a doctor in the house? Well, this is where is there a speaker in the house comes in. So have these little bite-sized pieces ready so that you can give an audience something, an amuse-bouche, a little appetizer, if you will, and then invite questions and invite that answer, wait for that invitation to say more. That's what I'm saying. Is it possible, Wendy? Yes, it is. Should we have a demonstration now? Get your stopwatch out. I'm going to put the timer on my phone for 3 minutes. Now, I'm picking a random topic here, but here we go. Oopsie. Start. Right. I'm asking the question, how do you make important decisions? Is there a method that you like to employ for inquiring of your inner self, that you're knowing? Now, you might call it your higher self, you might call it your in-knowing, you might call it God, whatever it is that however you language that. So I'm going to think very quickly here about 3 different methods. Some people like to journal. So they'll get out their journal, they'll write the question down, set the intention, and then do a data dump. See what comes up. Free writing. Off it goes and see what comes up. And when you feel as though you've had enough, you've got everything, you stop. And then you can read over it. Some people go for meditation. Again, as they're settling down and they're focusing on their breathing, they will have set the intention. I'd like clarity on whatever it is they're going for. And then they will focus on their breathing, maybe listen to some music. It might even be a guided meditation. You're opening yourself up to that inner knowing. Third point some people do is just before they go to sleep, they'll set an intention. I'd like clarity on this, please. Off they go to sleep with the expectation that in the morning, bing, they'll wake up with that information. Quickly write it down before you forget it. So have a notepad ready by the side of your bed. So those are 3 different methods that I've heard of. I personally go with the journaling, but that's not to say the others aren't useful. I have done the others too. So some people have a preference. Other people use I'm a meditator. Others go, yeah, no, today I think we'll go with this one. You have your preferences. It's not a one size fits all. So those are 3 different methods for engaging your inner knowing. Actually, it's probably more down here, isn't it? At heart, isn't it? How do you like to do it? I'm wondering, I'm curious. What's your favourite method? Do let me know. Okay, and we've now got to 26 seconds to spare. Okay, so that was giving you the starter. This is my why, giving you 3 opportunities for exploring it. Didn't give too much information, but I explained a bit more about it. I summarized them. I gave a call to action, all in under 3 minutes. Now, no, you're not going to be able to develop it very much, but you've given enough information to show that you know what you're talking about, and clearly. Short little bite-sized pieces. That will be remembered by your audience because people can hold on to 3 minutes worth of attention. TEDx talks are a maximum of 18 minutes because from studies, they've discovered that brain shuts off after 18 minutes. Okay. So what I'm recommending you recommending and also challenging you to do is to come up with what is it that your material, what is your material? What are those specific points that you want to make? Can you introduce it? Have 3 mini points underneath it, develop that point, summarize it, and with a call to action in all under 3 minutes. Because then you can have those as little nuggets that you can use as building blocks. You can build a talk out of that. So when somebody asks me to do a talk, I'll go, well, how long have I got? Right, 15 minutes. That's 4 of those blocks with the transitions in between. And I've got a little bit more time to expand within those points. But you get where I'm going with this? Have your material so well known that you can bring it out at any point. On the TEDx front, those scripts have to be written out, handed over to be fact-checked. If you're including any stats, those have to be checked out. Once that's all been agreed, I'm very naughty. I tell the speakers, know your material so well that you can read the audience and go off-piste. But if you've included stats, keep to those and don't add any extra because it will be a little bit of a for the team and your video may not get aired if it hasn't been fact-checked. That's a little aside on the TEDx stuff. For you, think about those 3-minute blocks. How can you explain what you're talking about, each individual main point that you want to cover. How can you introduce it, develop it, summarize it, call to action, all within 3 minutes? That's your challenge for this week. Please do let me know how you go with this. Do give it a go. Extra credit if you record yourself and then send me a link. You can pop it up onto your YouTube channel as unlisted. It doesn't need to be public, but do let me see it, please. I'd love to see how you're putting this into action. That's what I got for you this week, as I'm flying as we're speaking, as you're watching this now. Anyway, have a great time, and I will see you live from Kuala Lumpur the week after. Bye from me.